shalomklein.com.
To get down to business, this show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Get on my website, shalomklein.com. Follow me on Twitter, @ShalomKlein. And check us out on Facebook, Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein. So I'm thrilled to be joined by Rob Brooks, my friend, who, as his profile indicates, he advises business owners and entrepreneurs. Rob, welcome to the program.
Hey, Shalom. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about how you advise business owners and entrepreneurs, and more importantly, the story and of why you do what you do.
Sure. And if it's okay with you, I'll start with the why. The passion behind it for me is my personal experiences, both growing up and seeing how my ancestors came to this country, like many of us came from Europe. And I'll share 2 or 3 quick stories with you. The first is my family's from the west side of Chicago. My great-grandfather came here from Vienna at the turn of the century, the 18th, 19th century. And he was a self-made guy, and he made his money, and he bought apartment buildings. And what happened was, when he passed away, nobody knows what happened with his properties. It didn't go to his heirs. It might have been collected by creditors. We have no idea. Another story I can share with you is that my father and my grandfather also owned a business on the west side of Chicago. And the 68 riots came, and their store got looted and burned to the ground, and they lost everything. They had no insurance, and they had nothing left, and it was very tragic. The third thing is my wife's grandfather was also a self-made man. He was working in the garment district in Chicago, and he became a dressmaker, had a very successful business, and then in the later part of his life, he was investing in the stock market, and there was a crash, and he lost the great majority of his money. So for me, I have a lot of personal passion behind the work I do because I know how important it is for people to protect and grow what they have.
These are the moments that change who you are, and I've had countless guests on this program that have told me that experiences like this have impacted everything about what they do professionally and how they interact with people. And clearly those 3 stories, which, by the way, are very inspirational, clearly made you do something about it. So let's talk about you and what you do, how you help people. What is Ibex Capital?
Yeah, so what we do is we help companies, both entrepreneurs and business owners and startups, to really think about what's the end goal. How are they going to build their business? Who's going to be minding the store financially while they're out there growing what they're doing? So what we do is we make sure that all their financial decisions are coordinated and integrated so they have the best possible outcome. You know, I think about an author like Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. Well, it's no different in our personal business as well as our businesses that we're growing. We always have to begin with the end in mind.
And you keep mentioning, again, helping people sort of plan for the future. Is that because people naturally don't? They're so focused in the moment and so focused on their clients that they may not be thinking about themselves?
That's exactly right. Oftentimes what they're doing is they're thinking about how can they grow their top line. They're thinking about, obviously their family and their community and the things they care about. There's what I consider to be like a 3-legged stool in this whole process. One of the legs of the stool is how do we keep the business running if something, God forbid, were to happen to the owner himself? The second part of that is when we plan to exit the business, what's it going to look like? When are we going to do it? What's the valuation of the company going to be? What's the way that we're going to capitalize on it? And then the third thing is how do we transfer either the company or the assets to our heirs? So that's where we get involved, is helping them design plans, implement strategies for the best possible outcome.
And you just mentioned it, but the reason you do what you do is because if things would take their own course, often people would be so involved in the day-to-day operations of their business and continue to do what they do, which is what an entrepreneur should do. They should be focused on those areas. But that's why they partner with somebody like yourself. Mm-hmm. And hence that title that we started this segment with, advising business owners and entrepreneurs, which is so important. So are you only working with business owners and entrepreneurs, or do you work with other professionals as well?
I work with other professionals. I have many attorney clients, doctors, other professionals who are highly compensated. They're trying to grow what they're doing and also, make sure that they're protecting their families themselves.
And is your approach a one of, I guess, for lack of a better term, a conservative approach where you're taking a very careful and methodical approach? Or are you also helping them gauge their risk comfort level
That's
as well?
a great question. So, it's a combination of the two. It's one is, the best offense is a good defense, right? So we're always thinking about how do we make sure that there's not something that is lingering that could take them off track, right? Like I said, if got a plan for the business continuing if something were to happen to the key people, right? So in that sense, we're thinking about defense first, and then we're thinking about how do we grow their assets in a meaningful way that's not going to jeopardize what they're doing.
And your relationship with your clients is one clearly that requires a lot of trust. So what is the process when somebody sits down with you for the first time, which I hope our listeners will do, and of course we'll share your contact information. What sort of questions are you asking? How do you get to know their comfort level, and how do they earn that trust in you?
Yes. So the process is we sit down and we talk about their situation, and we talk about the first thing I ask is what's important to you, because we need to understand what gets them to work every day and why are they doing the things that they do. The second thing is, what are they doing today to get to their goals and objectives? What are they doing to make sure that they're on target for accomplishing what they want to accomplish? And then we will go through a process of going through their documentation. We'll review their operating agreements, their buy-sell arrangements, anything related to the business. We'll look at their estate plan documents, and this way we'll have an assessment of where they are today, and we'll see if they're aligned with their goals and objectives, and we'll make recommendations at that point.
That's fantastic. So we're chatting with Rob Brooks, talking about how he works with professionals, advising them and helping them plan for the future, secure their future. It's probably an appropriate term. But Rob, what I'm picking up from you is that you have been inspired, obviously, by your own experiences, by your family experiences, but you're also very well-read. You mentioned Stephen Covey earlier. Are there any other authors or things that you've read that you would recommend to our listeners as well?
There's so many books. I'm trying to think of what's coming to mind at the moment.
Who inspires you?
Well, I would say who inspires me really is my family. My wife, she inspires me. My kids inspire me. My parents certainly, and just the people I surround myself with, and that's what gets me fired up and go to work every day. But there's one more quote that I think about that I say to people who are having success. And it was by John F. Kennedy, who said, the best time to fix your roof is when the sun is shining. So I say that to people, and that's typically the call to action for them.
I love that. What a fantastic quote. And Rob, I know we have listeners tuning into the program tonight that are young entrepreneurs, people just developing their idea. Maybe they have not even put it into action yet. What advice, either financial management related or anything else, would you have for them as they set out to stake their claim in business?
Sure. My recommendation would be to seek out and surround yourself with good people, both on an informal basis, perhaps mentors, friends, family, but also professional advisors who are going to be there for the long haul.
That's great. And you clearly have done that as well. Without mentioning names, are there specific types of professionals that you think, again, an entrepreneur or business owner needs to be associated with and identify early on?
Of course. I would say for entrepreneurs, when they have to do their first round of funding, is a great time to start. But really, any time is a great time to start. But the best time to start would be early. And they may not have assets at that point necessarily to be investing or doing things with, but they should be thinking about the strategy. What is the end in mind? And then for mature businesses, it's always critical to review, just like they want to review their investment portfolios, they should be reviewing all their documents and all their plans on an annual basis.
Great advice, great inspiration. Rob Brooks, how can people get a hold of you if they want to continue that conversation, get that advice that you've become so well regarded for?
Sure, of course. The best place to get me would be, my phone is 847-877-9427, and they could also email me at rob@ibexcapitalgroup.com.
And let's give that phone number one more time.
Sure, 847-877-9427.
Appreciate you coming on the program and sharing your advice. We'll make sure people know how to get a hold of you. If you want to share our conversation with Rob Brooks and the advice that he shared, both his own story, you could go on my website, shalomklein.com. We'll be posting the podcast there. But Chicago, don't touch that dial. More of Get Down to Business will be coming on right after this quick break in the headlines. You're listening to Get Down to Business. We'll be returning in just a moment.
On AM 560.